Hi there, it's Arwin Bailey here, and thank you very much for tuning in to my little video channel where I'm composing and sharing some of my music and ideas. Today, when I'm recording, is the 8th of September in 2021, and in a few days' time, on the 11th of September, it's 20 years since the attacks on the Twin Towers in America that shocked the Western world and the world. It's hard to put into words what that event did for people and how people suffered as a result of that event at the time, and the brave emergency workers who went to the aid of people trapped in those buildings. And we've read of all of those stories, and your heart still goes out to them. But as a consequence of that attack, we've now seen 20 years of war in Afghanistan, we've seen war in Iraq, we've seen Kurdistan, Yemen, Libya, nation after nation, area after area in the world stirred up to a state of unrest. And I'm not going to go into the political landscape as I see it, because you might disagree with me, but I think that we can agree that the Western foreign policy since 9/11 has not been exactly one to be proud of. However, leaving the politicians and the politics to one side, we can be extremely proud of the armed personnel, and I will not say anything against those brave men and women who've put their lives on the line. They've lost limbs when they've been deployed there. There is a question mark whether they needed to be deployed there, and I wouldn't like to be a leader who does that and who's tasked with that responsibility. But this piece of music is perhaps a reflection on what's happened in the Middle East and some different nations around. And it's my small way of questioning the politicians, not the armed personnel, because they're incredibly brave. And at no point in this piece of music or this video should this be misinterpreted as a slight against any military personnel, because they have my utmost respect. As civilians, we can't imagine what it's like to be in that environment of war. We just have nothing in our experience to relate to. But recently we saw them being tasked with getting people out of Afghanistan, and that's really motivated this, and the fact that it's the sad anniversary of 9/11. And so what this piece is a piece for cello and piano, and the cello is a mournful voice of the refugee who's trapped, who's appealing for help, who's appealing for escape, who wants life, who wants peace. And that goes all the way through this, and it starts with that. So let me just take you to the beginning. Sorry, I thought I might have set this up, but anyway. So this is the start of it with the cello. And it's really the mournful cry, which is sort of inspired by and influenced by the Middle Eastern type prayer, if you like, or chant, if you like. And then after this suspended note, the piano comes in at a different tempo, and it slows down. It's like the soft feet of the soldiers, because I sense that in many of these situations, many of these arenas of war, our military are there not to cause conflict, but to try and bring reconciliation. And they brought huge amounts of humanitarian aid and educational materials and medical supplies and so on into these areas, into these arenas. And their hearts must be broken for what they've left behind. So this initial section, these initial sections of the piano coming in, represents the softness of the soldiers, but a beat. But it's a tired beat, it's an off beat, it's a slowed down beat. They're getting tired. And then the mournful cry comes back in. And so there's several ones of those, and where the piano and the cello intertwine at different beats and then coming together finally as well. But then there's a lightness as well. But still that lightness sinks and descends into a gruff nature, and eventually there's realization that it's really difficult. And then as time goes on, what happens is the soldiers become tired, obviously, because they're in that situation. But eventually it reaches, and this is inspired by what's seen in Afghanistan. I'm not going to put my emotions into the soldiers because I've never been in that situation. But I would imagine for myself in that situation, there's a conflict between a lightness of spirit that you're going to be leaving. But we all saw that British soldier saying, no, go away, hands off, and trying to close the gate to those desperate hearts of those refugees. And so there's a lightness of spirit, but a firmness coming down of saying, I can't take anymore. I can't take you. I can't do it. We need to stop now. And the limitations that were imposed upon the personnel. So you know, that's the imposition of the limitations, and that ends with a bit of a dissonance, and then there's a very lighter feel to the whole piece as we progress through. And then we saw the planes taking off from Afghanistan, the initial planes, and see if you can hear. And so we then move into the final few bars of the piece, and we then saw the final planes leaving Afghanistan. And so I'm just going to play you this now and see if you can hear the rumbling of the engines and that finality of it. And so the piece ends. And you can hear the pull on the heartstrings. What happens now? And maybe that needs to be partly our reaction and the reaction of any politicians, to think carefully before deploying our very brave military personnel into any other arena of war on a supposed threat. I was going to say some more about the politics, but I'm not going to. I'll just leave that to you. Hope that you enjoy the full piece of music and video that follows. Live long and prosper. May the force be with you. Thank you. you.